I'm going to show you guys everything that I ate today to get shredded as a vegan, using foods that you can probably find anywhere around the world. Hey guys, my name is Lakshay and I make videos about vegan health, nutrition, lifestyle. So if you like that kind of stuff, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Now I'm going to show you guys everything that I ate today on a cut. So I am now about 10 weeks, 10 or 11 weeks into my cut, and I am going to show you guys everything that I'm eating to lose weight as a vegan, trying to get shredded. Now, I weigh 91 kilos right now, and I'm trying to aim for around 23 to 2400 calories. Now, my first meal is a smoothie. I love this smoothie. I'm only eating 3 meals today. 3 simple meals. Reason being is I'm not a fan of eating multiple meals, smaller meals. I'd rather just eat 3 big meals, and I space that as much as I can, 2 to 3 hours, but that works for me. So I started off with around a cup and a half of almond milk. I added in 1 serving of protein powder. You can use any protein powder you want. I used just a local one that I found at a grocery store. 10 grams of chia seeds, 1 serving, which was 30 grams of LSA. Now, LSA is this mix that I found at my grocery store, which is pretty much just linseeds, ground sunflower seeds, and almonds all mixed together. And if you can't find LSA where you are, just get them all separately, and I'm sure you can buy everything separately. I added in about half a tablespoon of sweetener. Now I'm so deep into my cut that I've been starting to use this sweetener a lot, and it's just granulated. It's just a granulated sweetener, but honestly, getting a sweetener is a game changer, and every you can make anything taste amazing for like 10, roughly like 1/10 of the calories of normal sugar. And this particular sweetener is barely any calories. It's single digit calories. So getting a sweetener, especially when you're cutting, I highly recommend. Add it to everything, add it to your smoothies, and honestly, I it tastes exactly the same. I don't feel the difference anymore. And it might be because I'm so deep into my cut that everything tastes good, but getting a sweetener is a game changer. And then I added in 2 pitted dates, and I grinded that up, and 37 grams of protein, 46 grams of carbs, and 24 grams of fat, 560 calories. As you can see, it's a pretty loaded meal, but I love it, especially in the morning right before I train. It gives me everything that I need, and it really fills me up. And the LSA, the fiber in LSA, really just keeps me full for a long time. So that was my first meal. Now, my second meal, I started off by adding in 1 serving of vegan butter, which was 10 grams. I let that melt down a bit, and then I added in 1 onion chopped up. And what I did after that is I fried the onion for a bit in the butter, and then I added in a spice mix. Now, the spice mix will be down in the description box below. It's pretty much a mix of basic household spices that you can find around. I sort of just toast it. I toast it with the onions, I fry it around, and if it starts to stick to the pot, I just add in a little bit of water, and I just cook this for about a minute and a minute and a half. I then added in 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds. I didn't have cumin powder. I would have used cumin powder in my spice mix if I did, but I just used cumin seeds instead. And I added in about a half a can of whole peeled tomatoes, or you can just use any can of chopped tomatoes, or even fresh tomatoes if you want. And I just fried this around for about a minute and a half. And then I added in 90 grams of red lentils along with about a cup and a half of water. Now, I've washed these red lentils through a few times, and then I just put in a cup and a half of water. Honestly, after that, I just let it come to boil, and then I put it on low heat and just cooked it for as long as the lentils took to cook, which was around, I think, 15 or 20 minutes. And after that, it's pretty much finished. Like that, this is one of the most simplest recipes that I've ever done. And the good thing about lentils, red lentils, is it just cooks so quickly. You don't have to soak it in water. It's not a long process. You just have to cook it and it's done. So after I cooked the red lentils, I then added in 3 cups of white basmati rice, which comes out to be 550 grams of cooked basmati rice. Now, rice is something that I always measure cooked because when I make rice, it's for the whole family, and I can't just make it specifically for me. Sometimes I do, but it's just easier to just cook a rice all at once, and just I just cook it. I just measure it after I cook it. Now, just make sure you're consistent. If you're measuring it uncooked, which I've never really done, I've always just measured my rice cooked. But just make sure you're consistent. Whatever way you're measuring something, make sure you're consistent. Now, the biggest mistake that I see people do, they measure it cooked, but then they add it in the MyFitnessPal or whatever logging app that they have as uncooked. So it shows you that you're eating way a lot more food than you are. I've seen this happen a few times before. Make sure you're selecting cooked basmati rice and not uncooked basmati rice. So I'd mix the rice with the red lentils. And honestly, like this was such a filling meal. 42 grams of protein, 182 grams of carbs, 21 grams of fat, and 1096 calories. So my last and final meal is a tofu scramble. I started off with a bunch of frozen capsicum, frozen okra, and then some fresh moringa leaves from my backyard. You can add in whatever vegetables you want. I like to get in as many vegetables as I can because tofu scramble is amazing. I wasn't always a fan of tofu, but ever since I started making this particular tofu scramble, it tastes so good. So all I did was I cooked the vegetables first, and then I crumbled one whole block of tofu, which was 450 grams, into it. And another thing, I didn't use any oil for this recipe. I just started off with some water, and because it's frozen vegetables, it sort of leaks water, so it doesn't really stick to the pan and unless you cook it heaps. And once I crumble the tofu up, I just make sure that it cooked properly. I broke the bigger pieces into smaller pieces, added in 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder, about half a teaspoon of red chili powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds. Now, this is the secret ingredient. This changes everything. This is the reason why I love tofu now. And honestly, I've been starting to use this in almost everything. I started using this in pasta, which makes it amazing. It just gives that amazing flavor. It's so hard to describe, but that eggy flavor. And this is black salt. Now, black salt is something that I didn't always know what it was, and I saw a video on black salt, apparently how good it is, how tasty it makes a tofu scramble. And I just thought that it would just be like any other salt, like a particular like pink salt, pink Himalayan salt, and honestly, it's nothing like salt. Black salt changes everything. Black salt makes everything taste so much better, which is why I love tofu scramble so much now because it just adds that perfect eggy flavor and it actually tastes like a scramble. And then I added in about a teaspoon of normal salt, mix this around, and that's pretty much it. I also added in one small tomato that I chopped up and I just put it in at the end. Add some sriracha sauce on top. 43 grams of protein, 5 grams of carbs, and 32 grams of fat. 614 calories. Honestly, for those macros, that is such an amazing meal. Tofu is something that I always try to stay away from because I just didn't know how to cook it. I used to air fry them and then I got sick of that. But now this is so easy to make. You don't have to fry, you don't have to do anything. And I don't even drain my tofu for water anymore. I just put it straight in. It's so easy to make. You can add in a bunch of vegetables, whatever you want, and it's black salt that changes the game. So make sure you try this recipe out and get black salt. And I'm sure you can find it in your local Asian grocery store or Indian grocery store. But honestly, it's such a game changer. So the macros for this day of eating were 146 grams of protein, 233 grams of carbs, and 83 grams of fat, which is a pretty good day. We ended up hitting 2300 calories, just above 2300 calories. And honestly, that's what I'm trying to aim for right now, from 2300 to 2400. And obviously today was a bit on the lower end, but we still hit our protein. So we're trying to hit a minimum of 140 grams of protein. And it was pretty simple to do through 3 meals. And obviously if you're looking to lose weight, you don't have to eat this much food at once. You can split these meals into half and eat them in the smaller meals. But I'm someone that I love eating a lot of food at once. So this is perfect for me. This is what works for me. It's cutting is all about finding what works for you. And that could be intermittent fasting, that could be planning your meals out, having smaller meals more often. It doesn't really matter as long as you're hitting your calories and your macros at the end of the day. As long as you're getting in the protein, that's all that matters. So find out what works for you. This works for me. And that's what's going to keep you consistent and going. And that's what's going to help you succeed in your cut. Thank you guys so much for watching this. I really hope this video helped you guys in some way. If you have any questions, of course, please let me know in the comments down below. Let me know if you have any tips for me, any cooking tips. I'm always open to learning new things. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.